Hello, my name is Dr. Ethel Yiranbon. This is a recording of our second lecture. Last week we talked about what research is and what constitutes a good research. We also looked at the types of research and so on. Today we are looking at how to formulate the research topic and then also go over how to arrive at your proposal. Now, the learning outcomes are for you to, at the end of this lecture, have be able to choose a suitable topic, to be able to identify what constitutes a good research topic, and also to be able to come out with clear objectives and research questions, and also to be able to draft a research proposal. So how do you come by a suitable research topic? First of all, you need to allow your topic to evolve. By that we mean you need to read. Research of any kind cannot be out of the blue. You cannot conjure your research from the skies. It needs to fit into existing literature. So it is important that you read. In fact, reading is what helps you to actually know what is going on around the subject that you are interested in researching into. Sometimes you may think that there is a problem in this area, only to read literature, if you read wide, to realize that the problem is not as you thought it was. Or sometimes you even come to realize that it is even bigger than you thought it was. So it is important that you actually go over what people have already done in this area so that it informs you as to which area to tackle, what actually is actually the problem. It should emanate from research gap. Yes, so when you have read, you will realize that there are areas that have not been touched on, and you may want to focus your research into that area rather than reinventing the wheel. Let your experience also guide you wherever you are working or whatever you have experienced in the past that is leading you to have this research. Do not throw that away, but of course, do not overly dwell on it. You also need to look at proposed future studies. When you read articles and even theses of people's work, you would see that some of them have indicated somewhere proposing where other researchers should take this from. And that should give you a clue as to where to tackle as far as your research is concerned. You also need to combine ideas. Yes, that's why you need to read widely, consult widely, so that you can have ideas here and there, patch them together, and you are able to come out with something fresh. You need to put your ideas on paper, no matter how random or disorganized it may seem. Very important. These days it's very easy to write on our phones. First, you needed to have some small jotter in your pocket. These days, you are able to do that on your phone, and so you should do it. Do not take it for granted. Sometimes you think that your mind can hold everything, but no, it can fail you. It happens to me a lot. So whatever comes to your mind, quickly drop it on paper, and so that you can always go back to it and use it. You can also select a broad topic and then narrow it down. Narrow it down. Yes, so your area of might begin with, okay, I want to look at something around health. What about health? Maybe health technology. What aspect of health technology? Okay, so you begin to ask yourself these questions so that you can narrow down your topic. Sources of a research topic, of course, newspaper. You can be going through your newspapers and then something pops up that makes you interested in researching deeper to identify what is in there. Magazines and articles, course paraphernalia. Yeah, so you're studying a course and what you are reading and learning drives you into some very specific area that you are very much interested in. That's fantastic to run with. Databases online. These days we have books online, we have a lot of data that is flowing around online. Take them and possibly let them inform you as to what to do. News, this is all over. And so a good research topic, one should be devoid of grammatical spelling or spelling errors. It is going to be sad that we pick your work and the first thing we see is a grammatical error. That puts people away from even reading your work. And remember that you are writing your work not for the fun of it, you're doing your research so that you can inform the world. And so the farther it goes, the better. And so, in fact, when we write articles, we are looking at how far we're looking at a journal that people read a lot. Okay, so it is important that people read your work. And so, do not do anything that will let them be put off. And spelling is one thing that will make them think you are not too serious, and that might not actually be the case. So read over your topic, let someone else look at it, and that will save you a lot. It should largely be understandable. It should largely be understandable. Of course, you can do a research that pertains to a certain discipline. Yes, but even that should be understood. I remember seeing a paper that had to do with the sciences. I've forgotten the title, but I read it and I was like, I don't understand. Then I asked a question, and then someone on the page said, oh, so your explanation actually makes it clearer than what the author has put on the paper. Okay, so we shouldn't read your topic and be struggling to understand what it is. Sometimes even the people in the discipline can be struggling with that understanding. It should not be too long nor too short. I always say it should be like a lady's skirt, not too long. Well, but these days maxi skirts are beautiful, yes, but for a topic, not too long. When it gets too long, it loses its meaning, okay? And when it's too short, it also will lose some detail. Focus or specific and contextualized, okay? Contextualized. You should narrow it to a point where we know exactly where you are going at that, okay? If you just say teenage pregnancy, that's not a good topic. What about teenage pregnancy? Okay, because I may not be interested in all parts, everything about teenage pregnancy. In fact, the truth is that your research is not going to be everything about teenage pregnancy. So be as specific as possible, contextualize it, put it in a certain context. Okay, we will look at that further later. Relate to real life or societal problem. We said this in the first lecture that a research should in a at a, I mean should largely be solving a problem in society. That is what makes it useful. It should be useful and interesting. That is linked to what I just said. It should fill a gap in research. This has also been said, and that's where you need to read to find where the gaps are so that you don't keep telling us the same thing. Okay, generate new knowledge. Generate new knowledge. Give us something novel, something new, advance understanding or influence policy. Very important. You should have your research having at the back of your mind how this will help policy making. So, how will the people in at the realms of affairs benefit from that which you have written or you have found? You should be passionate about the area of study or topic. It's very important because research is tedious, and if you start doing something that you do not like or something that frustrates you, it's not, you are going to lose some energy, so you need something that excites you, you know to a large extent, to push you to be able to do that research. A good research topic should be catchy and contain the main idea. Okay, it should start with an appropriate verb as much as possible. It puts it in a certain context when you do so. Okay, so even though I want to do teenage pregnancy, I can start by saying a comparative analysis of teenage pregnancy occurrences in this part of the world against that part of the world. For instance, an assessment of healthcare technology in Ghana, and I can even be more specific. Developing, okay, so maybe people in your discipline, IT, maybe you want to develop something. It is important that you bring in such verbs, developing, blah blah, okay, understanding a particular phenomenon, defining. So all these are verbs that you can bring into your topic to put them in a very proper context. Now you can, like I'm saying, you need to put your topic in a certain scope. And one thing that can help do that is the mind mapping tool. That's the 4 W's and 1 H. What are these? You ask yourself the question, where? Where do you want to conduct the study? Okay, is it in Ghana? Is it in another part of the world? Where? It narrows your work down so that when I pick your work, I'm not wondering what what was the scope of this piece of work. Was it looking at the entire world? No, in fact, when the moment I pick your topic, I know where you are going to. If not, you're leaving your topic so ajar. At the end of the day, we might say that you have not met your objectives. Who? Who is your target population? Who is your target population? Okay, the specific participant. So, yes, geographically, you have told us where, but who are the people involved, or what artifact is involved if you are not dealing with people? When? Time frame, is it in the past, is it future, or is it a comparison, or all of that? All of these would enable you to even know the direction to take your research. Okay, if it's something that has to do with future, usually you're looking at the prospects of something, okay? Prospects maybe of a certain tool or machine or an app that you have created. You want to know whether, how far it can go. And so you want to project, and there should be a way you do that. That helps to shape your topic. Also, what exactly are you dealing with? That's where we narrow and narrow further. How? Here you're looking at the approach. We will look at approaches in doing research method, subsequently, but this would then advise you or guide you as to what kind of research methods or methodology you will be using. Okay, depending on how you carve your topic. So you should have all of these in mind when you are putting your topic up. course, maybe you might not be able to detail all of these, but if you have even 3 of these showing in your topic, it helps a great deal. Some of the attributes of a good research, according to Sanders et al., is that you should be looking at the capability of the researcher. Is it feasible? Be sure that you are not biting more than you can chew. Is the topic something with which you are really fascinated about? Okay, are you fascinated about it? Of course, we all have different interest areas, and like I said before, the more interested you are in it, the more energy you will have to the end. Do you have, or can you develop within the project time frame the necessary research skills to understand the topic? Okay, if you don't have what it takes in terms of skill, do not do it. I have students who could not present their research paper, level 400s, because they picked a topic that they could not deal with. They didn't have any idea how they were going to go about the topic. And I guess they did not take the right political steps, okay? See the right people, have the right discussions with the research person in charge, so that they could have that reviewed to their capacity. So they had, at the end of the day, they brought me something scanty, and I said, no, we cannot submit this. Okay, so these are things you need to be thinking about when you are beginning even at the topic generation stage. That's what I mean. Is the research topic achievable within the available time? Okay, sometimes it's not the skill, it's not the know-how, it is whether you have enough time. Okay, if you don't, you need to know how you narrow it down. In fact, if you coin a topic that says that you're going to do a research that entails the whole of Ghana, no, you may not be able to do that. In my PhD study, my topic had to do with, the entire Ghana. At some point, I had to narrow it to a particular region, and I chose the Brong-Ahafo region because I said it had elements of the south and the north. Okay, so you should see this from the very beginning. Will the project still be current when you finish your project? Okay, so imagine you are doing a research on what the vaccines of COVID-19, only for you to finish when COVID-19 is over. Okay, so you need to look at that all of those estimations. Do you have the finances are finances available to you? Research entails some finances, so you should have that in mind when you are carving your topic. Okay, are you reasonably certain of being able to gain access to data? I also have a student who has had to struggle with data. She needed permission from a hospital in Cape Coast, and she went all around, and we had to settle with another hospital that was ready to give her what she wanted. They were being political because they thought that what they would find might not be something they would want out there. So they were giving her issues. So you need to be able to possibly do some feasibility study. Yeah, pilot studies, sort of, you know, scan quickly to know if I'll get data here or not before you pick a topic in an area that you would at some point be stuck. Will your proposed research be able to provide fresh insights into this topic? Will your proposed research be able to provide fresh insights? Okay, so if it's something that is not going to bring anything new, it might not be something hugely new, but even if it's little, if not, do not do that. We have people who actually copy and paste. In fact, not copy and paste, they pick someone's work and they submit us there. So we'll talk about all of those issues later. Appropriateness, okay? Is it worthwhile? Does the topic fit the specifications and meet the standards set by the examining institution? This is very important for you when you are in your final year and you need to submit a paper. And so you need to know what is required of you. Do not start doing your research work in level 400 without knowing what the school expects of you. So ask. I keep telling students that school or studying for a degree is studying. And studying means you don't know when you are finding out. And when you're finding out, you are asking questions constantly. We may get angry at you, but you still need to ask because you want to know. If not, you find yourself wanting in a lot of things. And this happens all the time. Okay, so this in coming out with your research topic, find out what the school wants. And one way is even by going to the library, picking up what your fellow students have done and gone. So long as it's been accepted by their supervisor, of course, it might not be 100% piece of work, but it certainly would be overall acceptable. So that's the first thing I do when I was starting. Several years ago when I started doing research, my first degree. First thing, I stormed the library and I picked samples to look at how people do it. Does your research topic contain issues that have a clear link to theory? It's very important that you link your work to a certain theory, okay, where, I mean, other senior writers, we can say, have come out with some cause and effect variables saying that this causes that and all of that. And that might help you to fit your topic in the same. It gives you a very easy way to sail because then you don't have to crack your head about anything. You just may have to test what has already been, theory that has already come. It doesn't have to be, a groundbreaking theory. It can be a middle theory. And if you read Sanders et al., it talks a little more about this. Are you able to state your research questions and objectives clearly? Okay, you pick a topic and you don't know what research topic research objective to carve. And this is a very problematic area for a lot of IT people, how to set their topic. They end up telling us, to set the objectives, they end up telling us how, how relevant the topic is instead of telling us how they are going to achieve what. Okay, how what is the target? Where do you want to get at the end of it? Not what that artifact or what it will be used for. But as you begin your 3 or 4 months journey of research, where do you want to get to? You want to build this artifact, you want to come out with an app. Don't tell us what the app will be used for. Tell us how you are going to arrive at that app. And so probably you should be breaking down the steps of that app. And that will be very useful. Will your proposed research be able to provide fresh insights into the topic that I have already mentioned? So I just picked a few examples of topics by some past students, um, just for you to have an idea of some topics. And in your spare time, I would want you to take a look at these, and from the things I have said, you would want to identify which ones you will call a good topic and which ones you think fall short of the things I've talked about here. So, one, the role of customer relationship management system in a competitive business environment. The role of customer relationship management system in a competitive business environment. So, on the face of it, I would say this would need a little more work. I would advise this person to more or less be more specific When you say customer relationship management system in a competitive business environment, what do you want to do? Are you investigating? Are you having a comparative analysis of this topic? Are you examining something? Okay, so those verbs that I said, if you put in one of these, you would have a more, a simpler or more convincing topic than this is. Also, this person would need to add the where would this research take place? Where would this research take place? So you need to put it in some context and narrow it down to a certain specific geographical area, and that would help a great deal. The identification. Let me pick another example. Number 8. Okay, implementing a safe handling of drill cutting waste recycling system to prevent ill health. That is too long. Even reading it, it's too long a topic because the person has put in too much detail. You don't need to add things like to prevent ill health and all of that. It can be easily summarized. But of course, there is some implementing. That means that there is a verb there, which is good. And also, the person has given us a certain context where this would take place. That's good. But certain details would need to be removed to make it a better topic. I think I saw a pretty short one. Number 5 says project quality in the iron triangle. What about it? What are you doing? Are you investigating? Are you examining it? Is it a simulation of something? And where is this taking place? Okay, so when you look at it critically, you realize that it is too broad and you can narrow this further to have a more concise topic. So in your spare time, try and come up with topics. And I would advise that as long as we are in this class, of course, eventually you will come out with topics and be able to do your either an exam or mid-sem. Most likely mid-sem, I will ask you to do a proposal. So I would advise that you would start doing that now. Now we come to proposal writing. Okay, of course, when you have a topic, you will need to come up with a proposal, and you want to see how that is done. What is a proposal or a research proposal? Of course, we all propose, and when you even talk to a girl and you propose to her, you are, of course, stating your intention to maybe be in a relationship with her or marry her or something. Yeah, so probably that will help you to understand this, where in the proposal, you are stating your intention, maybe with your supervisor or with the school or with the academic committee, stating how you want to go about your research. You need to give out some contract. It's a contract between yourself and the supervisor. It's also a contract for yourself, okay? Because it gives you yourself a very clear roadmap to where you want to get to and how you want to get there. In fact, also the most important thing is that it allows your supervisor to be able to give you the best of criticisms, to look at it very well and to ascertain whether you are on the right path. Because you don't want to start something and just keep going, and all the time you send it to your supervisor, he says it's not okay. I don't like the topic. I don't like your objectives. And if you had sent all of that as a proposal, the person could give you some suggestions, and then that will give you a green light to move on. Types of proposals. We have an undergraduate degree, which is yours. very soon in a year you would be coming up with an undergraduate degree proposal to your supervisor, so that the person can properly supervise you. We have thesis, that's master's degree level, okay, and we have the PhD level, and also have the grant level. Recently, we were asked to come up with a proposal to bid for some it was to do a research, but that was supposed to be something that we would needed to tender in the proposal for them to accept whether we would do it or another group would do it. Okay. Now, content of a research proposal, depending on the institution or the organization, or the context of your research, this might differ, but academically and maybe even for GTUC, this would be largely accepted. Your supervisor specifically might ask you to add or subtract certain things. So you just need to be very open-minded, but this will be a good guide. First of all, you need to have a topic, okay, as we have discussed. You need to have your background, problem statement, the aim and objectives, and also the research questions. You need to have significance of the study, scope and delimitation of the study. You need to know that you need to have some literature review or state of the art, and then your methodology, how you're going to arrive at where you're going to, expected results, and then project outline. You need to outline that, and then your bibliography or the reference list or list of references. So the topic is just as we have discussed extensively. Now, the research problem, this is where you talk about what exactly the problem is. Okay, what do you intend to deal with? Tell us what the problem is. Start with the background, okay, and then contextualize that background and precisely, what you are tackling. Better to refer to appropriate authorities, okay? You must have literature in there. Nothing you say should be just hearsay or your mind, or, it has to have some authority backing it from literature. And so you need to know how to cite or in-text citation very well. Like I said last week, do not rely too much on websites. You want to talk about what quantified approach to is advice. It should be supported with numbers or statistics. An overview of relevant works, very, very necessary. And then you talk about what the problem, directly define the exact problem. Make sure that your problem definition is aimed at solving a local or global problem. You need to convince your readers that indeed what you are going to research on is a pertinent issue, is something of concern. And that's what the whole argument you'll be building around the problem statement. So you have a background or an introduction. Do not have a background and introduction. It's just repetition that will help you to focus. Now, this is a pyramid approach to your research problem, okay? Usually I would rather turn this pyramid over, okay, and have the broad. I love to start with the broad perspective, okay, but well, there are two ways. So you can start with the specific, looking at the case study organization. If it's Ghana or if it's even something about GTUC, you can start with talking about the GTUC situation and what the issue is here. You're describing the state of things at GTUC. Or if it's broadly some aspect of Ghana, you also want to provide statistics, okay? So that's where literature heavily comes in. And this is specifically to give it some relation to other similar problems in that industry. Okay, you relate it to that. If it has to do with what road accidents, you want to relate it to road accidents and statistics on road accidents globally. Give us those graphics, global graphs and tables and figures, code them beautifully with good citations. And then you can now go global about all these, which countries, the bigger ones, and narrow them down to the specific place or study area that you are looking at. Then you come to current publications concerning that study or that subject matter. And then you need to also justify the need for the study. Justify the need for the study there. So relate the problem to other similar problems globally and justify with some few studies conducted in that discipline and why the research is unique and relevant. Then you come to your aim and objectives. Your aim. An aim is not an objective. An aim is like the bullet. A good aim leads to a good research. Okay, so if you do not aim properly, you'll find yourself just hovering around nothing. But if you clarify what it is that you are going to do or going to look for, then it gives you better results. So it goes with an adjective. It should be concise. One sentence usually is enough. You shouldn't have a long sentence whining and this and that or this. No. Remove every conjunctions and it should be straight. If you have a conjunction, you may want to break that into two to make it two objectives because every objective should aim at one thing, basically. I mean, your aim usually will be your broad, the broad area of the study. And usually I say that you can actually turn your topic into an aim. It is not the same as the objective. So at the end of the day, I want to get to Kumasi. Or I like jollof, so I keep using jollof. You want to cook jollof. So jollof rice is your aim. Okay, how you are going to arrive at having jollof rice are your objectives. Step by step, how am I going to cook this jollof? Going to the market, buy my stuff, and then I will prepare my meat and steam it, have my tomato ready, chop onions. These are objectives. This is what will lead me to getting my jollof prepared. And so you need to state these clearly, precisely, and concisely. So more specific to the study, it is accurate, it should be accurate than an aim, and it's operational. Operational is something you do. And with the aim, remember that it is broad, it is not specific, it is broad. How it has to correspond to what you will try to produce or generate. Whatever you want to come out with is what you will break down. Remember, I was saying that do not go about telling us the usefulness of jollof when we want to know how you arrive at jollof. This is very crucial. Okay, people come, your students come to the defense room, and this is one of the major issues we have with them. So do take note. So your objectives must be smart, it must be specific, it must be something that is measurable. So you don't, when I see people's objectives, the question I ask is, how do you think you are going to measure this? If it is not measurable, then it's not a good objective. Attainable, okay? Attainable. Your objective is reachable and Circumstances exist for you to achieve it. You have what it takes to be able to achieve that particular objective. Do not just state it for the sake of stating objectives because they say we should have objectives. No, you should know how you are going to achieve that. It should be reliable. What you want to achieve is not a dream. You have calculated the time and effort involved and are clear about your intentions and capacity. It should be reliable. It should be time bound. There are stipulated deadlines for start and finish. Of course, you might not state that in the objective, but we should look at it and know that within this time, it is possible to get it done. Sometimes it is important to even include the time. So there are differences between the aim and objective. An aim is the intention or the desired outcome. It's the intention where you want to reach. I want to get to the US. And then your objective, specific or concrete goal at achieving the aim. What are you going to achieve? That's the aim. And the objective is how you are going to achieve what you are going to achieve. Broad, aim is broad, objective is specific. Aim can be divided into several objectives, but objectives are steps that are achieved to reach the aim. So an objective should not be broken down further. It should just be simple, precise, concise. So a sample of specific aim, objectives, and research questions. The title of one of the students I supervised, her title was Assessing the Quality of the Health Services at the Nsawam Government Hospital of Ghana. Assessing the quality, so the verb there is assessing. And what is she assessing? She's assessing the quality of healthcare services at where? At the Nsawam Government Hospital. Okay, and her aim, which is the general goal, is to the aim of the study is to assess the quality of healthcare services being assessed by patients visiting the outpatient department of the Nsawam Government Hospital. So like I said, your title can very conveniently be translated into an aim. Do not look into the skies for an aim. Just coin your title into your aim. Now, your objectives, that is the roadmap or the exact or specific steps that will lead you to that. And her objectives were one, to examine clients' expectations of what healthcare service quality should be at Nsawam. Okay, she's looking at what? The quality of healthcare services being assessed by patients. And so her first step is to examine the expectations of the of clients there. And number two is to explore clients' experiences in assessing healthcare services at Nsawam Government Hospital. The third is to determine patients' level of satisfaction with healthcare and then to ascertain the factors that affect quality healthcare service. So we're assuming that by the time we finish finding out all these four, we would have achieved the aim. We would have assessed the quality of healthcare service being assessed by patients. Okay, because so everything we're looking at will be in the view of patients. And then you will turn your objectives into research questions. It can also be the other way around. You can have research questions and then turn them into objectives, because at the end of the day, they are both going to arrive at the same thing. So you may have read your literature review and you had some research questions from there. And from those research questions, the way to seek to answer them is to create specific, concrete roadmaps or objectives from those questions. And so they just directly, so the first objective is having to do with what examining the client's expectations of what healthcare service quality should be. And so, what are patients' expectations of healthcare service quality at Nsawam Government Hospital? So, the same for all of them. Now, your methodology, we would go deeply into this in subsequent lectures, but generally, in your methodology, you are stating clearly how you are going to arrive at the aim, let's just say, or how you're going to go about the research. Remember that we said research has to be systematic. Okay, so you start by knowing what your philosophy is, or your approach, your strategy, the choices that you will make, whether it's mixed method or multi method or mono method, whether the time zone is it going to be a cross sectional study or a longitudinal study, and then the kind of data you're going to collect, the tools you're going to use to collect those data, all of that is falls under methodology, and we will be looking at each of those specifically later. Now, you also need in your proposal to show the expected results. Of course, remember that this is only a proposal, and so you wouldn't have the results ready. And so you're going to, at this point, show how you are going to arrive at that at the results. So based on your literature review, because you have read around the same subject matter, you would have known the pattern. And so this is what you expect. It can change afterwards. That's nobody will kill you for that. But at least let us know what you're expecting. Predict the possible outcome based on your literature review, linked to your aim and objectives. So it should not be outside your aim and objectives. And you should be able to explain what you are likely to produce and why. Also, you should have a project outline showing us chapter by chapter how you are going to go by it. So, chapter one was going to be involved. Some supervisors don't bother about this, but others might. So, you need to know what it is and what it entails. Check with your supervisor as to how you will go about your work. Can be in the form of a diagram. You have a Gantt chart sometimes that shows even the time and the month, if it's week by week, month by month, what do you want to achieve every step of the way. So you have 4 months, you want to put all of those 4 months in a picture form. Okay, it can also be in a write-out form, and then to show how it's like a timetable that you're giving yourself to be able to finish, which is very important because it helps you to manage your time. Also, in your proposal, you need to state the significance of the study, okay? Who and the audience, okay? How useful is your study going to be and to who, okay? So we usually have for the industry, for academia, okay, policy wise, and all of that. Usually you should be able to categorize them this way and tell us how your research benefits these people. Okay, so you can talk about how it's the novelty of your work, how novel your work is, how new, how fresh it is. Defend the importance of your work better when you can defend the importance of your work better when it is contextualized. Of course, if you haven't put it in any context, it becomes difficult to say who it will benefit. But if you did put it in a certain context, you would tell. If you put it in the Ghanaian context or the South African context, in the European context, Asian context, or a specific country or a specific town in a country, then you can say, or even a specific institution, you can say Now tailor the significance towards that. Of course, sometimes you can be generalized depending on what kind of research you did. And then define your research audience, who you want to reach by this research. Define your target audience clearly. It makes your research more relevant and enjoyable. Okay, sometimes even before you do your research, especially you in the IT area, you may want to contact the people that would benefit it. Sometimes, actually, after the research, they would need to have the piece of work. Some can even buy it because it's going to be very relevant to the improvement of their industry or organization. Yeah, so basically, this is it for research topic and proposal. Kindly consult me if you have any questions concerning this. Please, I will put the reading, okay, the resource that you can read to find this at the end of this slides, and then I would upload this on the Moodle platform for your personal consumption. Thank you, and we'll meet again in the next lecture.